Recording. Headland path, northeast of the origin site. We've been walking for about 8 minutes. The objective is to follow the device interval to whatever is producing the pulse and document what we find. The device is in my right hand. Hannah is 2 steps ahead, moving along the path where it follows the cliff edge. The sky is low and gray, and the estuary is flat below us. No wind to speak of. The kind of morning that makes sound carry. The interval is at 3 seconds. It has not dropped below 3 since we left the building. I want to document the walking portion because the device behavior during movement is worth recording. When we set out from the origin site, the interval was 3.5 seconds. The same shortened reading I was getting inside the index room when facing northeast. As we moved along the path, it dropped. Not immediately. The first 2 minutes it held at 3.5. Then somewhere between the second and third minute, it stepped to 3.25. Then 3. And it has stayed at 3 since we passed the point where the headland path curves away from the estuary and back toward the cliff face. The device has never held a consistent shortened interval across a sustained distance before. In Season 1, it would accelerate in proximity to a specific object and return to baseline when I moved away. At Rook, it responded to the coordinate itself, shorter at the coordinate, longer when we moved off it. This is different. The interval is shortening progressively as we move in one direction, which suggests the target is not a single object at a fixed point, or it's an object large enough that proximity continues to increase as we approach. Hannah said, without turning around, "It's getting faster, isn't it?" Not a question. I confirmed it anyway. She nodded and kept walking. The path ends at a natural break in the cliff edge where the headland stone has crumbled over time, and the ground drops away in a rough slope toward a lower shelf. Not maintained, not marked. Hannah stopped at the edge and looked down. My first impression was geology, a cluster of pale gray stones partially overgrown with coastal grass at the joints, the kind of formation the cliff edge produces when softer rock gives way over time. I almost said that. Then I looked longer. The angles are wrong for natural collapse. Corners exist where corners shouldn't exist in fallen stone. The surfaces are rough cut, but deliberately so, not fractured, dressed. And where the courses survive, they are consistent, roughly horizontal, tightly fitted. Someone built this. What's left standing reaches approximately 2 meters at the tallest point, extends 6 or 7 meters along the base of the cliff, and returns at a right angle for another 3 meters before the collapse obscures the plan. A partial enclosure. 3 walls of something, the fourth either fallen or never built. The interior space, what remains of it, is open to the sky. The rubble from the collapsed sections is still nearby, not cleared, not redistributed far. It came down in place and has been slowly absorbed into the coastal ground over a very long time. No crescent marks on any exposed face. No parallel lines, no archive symbol I recognize. The device interval dropped when I looked over the edge. 2.5 seconds. Hannah said that's the oldest thing I've seen connected to any of this. I asked her what made her say that. She said the way it's sitting, it's not in the landscape, it's under it. Whatever built up around it over the years, the path, the soil layer, the grass, came after. The structure was first. We came down the slope carefully. The ground is loose and the drop to the lower shelf is significant if you miss your footing. Hannah went first. I followed with the recorder in my coat pocket and both hands free. At the base, the construction is clearer. The stone courses are tightly fitted without visible mortar, the gaps between courses packed with smaller stone fragments. Not earth, stone. Built to resist water infiltration. Built to last. The device is at 2 seconds. I moved along the standing section of wall, keeping the device close to the stone face, watching the interval. The device identifies specific targets, not areas, locations. There should be a point where the interval drops further. I found it at the northeast corner where the 2 surviving walls meet. 2 seconds holding. Then, when I brought the device within 30 centimeters of the cornerstone, One and a half. 1.5 seconds. I have never recorded that interval before. Not at 47 Marginal Road, not at the train station, not at Rook, not at the origin site. The strongest archive response the device has ever produced, and it is coming from a specific point in this wall. I stopped and held the device steady and looked at the stone. There is something set into the face of the cornerstone, not attached to it, not placed against it, built into it, set into the face of the cornerstone during construction, the edges of it level with the surrounding material. I almost missed it because the color is the same pale gray as the dressed stone around it. What distinguished it was texture. The surrounding stone has the fine irregularity of worked coastal rock, small ridges, compression marks from tooling, a slight roughness that catches oblique light. This patch is smoother, and the edges are sharper than any dressed edge on the wall. I looked at it longer. Then I saw the lines, faint indentations in the smooth surface, horizontal, forming divisions. A top field, a middle field, a bottom field. The proportions were familiar before I understood why. The field divisions, the dimensions, the material flush with the wall. It is a catalog card, or the thing that catalog cards are modeled on. The same proportioned fields, the same layout, but the material is not paper. It's harder, slightly translucent at the edges where the morning light catches it. Not stone, not metal, something I don't have a precise word for. And unlike every card I've handled in this network, this one was made to be permanent, made to be part of the structure itself. The fields are filled, the text is impressed into the material rather than written on it. Subject pre-registry, status active, dates unknown. Present, I looked at the bottom of the card. The source field boundary line is present, the indented division marking where the field should be. The space below it is blank, not unfilled in the way an incomplete record is unfilled. Blank in the way a field is blank when the category does not yet exist. Every card in this network carries a source coordinate, the location that cataloged the node, a chain of references reaching back to the origin index. This card has no source. It predates the chain. Hannah was beside me. She looked at the card for a moment, then crouched and looked at the base of the cornerstone. She said, "Someone has been here." The soil at the base of the wall has been disturbed. The surrounding ground is compacted and surface crusted the way coastal earth gets after years of salt air and frost cycles, hard, pale, stable. The disturbed area is a rectangle approximately 1/2 meter wide, extending from the cornerstone outward. The edges of the disturbance are clean, recent. On the stone face at ground level, at the joint between the cornerstone and the course below it, metal scrape marks. Bright, not weathered. A tool inserted into the joint and levered, I can see where the edge bit into the stone on both sides of the joint, chipping small flakes from each face. The attempt was made with some force. The card didn't move. It's still in the wall, still flush, still intact. Hannah stood up and looked northeast along the lower shelf, then back up the slope toward the headland path, then at the card again. She said, "We weren't the first ones here today." I looked at the tool marks, at the undisturbed card, at the freshly turned soil. Then Hannah reached out and pressed 2 fingers flat against the card surface, not trying to extract it, just contact. She held them there. After a moment she said, "There's writing on the back." I asked her how she knew. She said, "The material is thin enough. I can feel the indentation pressing through from the other side." Something was impressed into this from behind, raised characters, the same technique as the front, a lot of them. She moved her fingers to the bottom edge of the card, where the levering attempt had opened a small gap between the card and the surrounding stone, 1 millimeter, perhaps 2, along the lower margin. She got a fingernail into the gap, applied steady outward pressure. The card came free with a sound like a slow exhale, compressed air releasing from a sealed joint, the sound of something opened for the first time in a very long time. She turned it over. The device was still pulsing in my hand. The back is covered in handwriting, Dense, small, consistent columns. Names. A list of names running top to bottom, margin to margin, no dates, no annotations, no explanations. Just names added over time by different hands. The entries near the top are in older scripts, the letter forms unfamiliar. The entries further down become progressively more recent. Different inks, different styles, the same card used as a register across what looks like centuries. I counted what I could see, more than 20 names. Hannah's finger moved down the list, slowed near the bottom where the most recent entries were clustered. 3 names, then 2, then 1, written in a hand that looked contemporary. Current. Her finger stopped. She didn't say the name. She looked at me. The last name on the list, mine.